I stayed away from my friends' expenses to buy her the shoes she wanted, but when I gave them with joy, she told me another man had already walked into her. 6 months ago, I had everything. Sarah, my girlfriend of 4 years, was planning our future. We talked about kids, about the house with the white picket fence, about growing old together. She had this way of laughing that made my chest tight with happiness. Used to make my chest tight. The shoes started it all. Those ridiculous designer heels she saw in the store window. $800. Who pays $800 for shoes? But the way her eyes lit when she saw them. God, I was such an. I worked double shifts for 2 months. I'll lunch walk to work instead of taking the bus. Ate nothing but peanut butter sandwiches. My friends kept asking why I was being such a hermit. Just saving money, I'd say, thinking about Sarah's face when I'd surprise her. Meanwhile, Jake and the guys were going out every weekend. Come on man, live a little, they'd say. Sarah's got wrapped around her finger. I ignored them. I had a plan. That's when I met Emma. She started as a new hire at my second job, the weekend retail gig I picked for extra shoe money. Brunette, confident, nothing like Sarah's gentle sweetness. Emma was sharp edges and sarcasm. She made fun of customers behind their backs, rolled her eyes at management, and somehow made minimum wage feel like rebellion. We're always so serious, she said during our first shift together. What's eating? I told her about the shoes. About Sarah. About wanting to make her happy. Emma laughed, not mean, just surprised. $800 for shoes, dude, that's rent money. Don't understand, I said. When love someone, they don't make work for overpriced footwear. She leaned against the counter. What's she doing while sitting at home waiting for her prince? I should have walked away right then. Should have recognized the dripping into my ears. But Emma kept talking. About how relationships should be equal. About how Sarah seemed controlling. About how I deserved someone who appreciated what I already gave. Not someone who wanted more and more. She doesn't even know how hard working. Emma said one evening as we closed. She was wrong. Sarah knew. She'd massage my shoulders after those double shifts, bring me dinner when I forgot to eat, tell me I didn't need to do this. I don't need expensive shoes. She'd say, I just need. But Emma's words were already under my skin. The flirtation started small. Emma would brush against me reaching for supplies. She'd laugh at my jokes. She'd text me after work, just rent, but it felt electric. Dangerous. Girlfriend's lucky, she said one night. We were alone in the stockroom, and she was standing too close. If I had a guy who'd worked this hard for me, I should have left. Should have thought about Sarah at home. Probably watching our show on Netflix, saving my spot on the couch. Instead I stayed frozen as Emma stepped closer. She doesn't appreciate, Emma whispered. But I do. The lasted maybe 10 seconds. 10 seconds that destroyed 4 years. I pulled back, heart hammering. I can't. I love Sarah. Emma smiled, but it wasn't kind anymore. Do love the idea of her. I went home that night sick to my stomach. Sarah was asleep, curled in my old college sweatshirt. I stood in the doorway watching her breathe, feeling like the worst person alive. But I didn't confess. I told it was just a mistake. It wouldn't happen again. It happened again 3 days later, then again the following week. By the time I had enough money for the shoes, I was sneaking around like a criminal. Deleting texts, making excuses, living 2 lives. Emma became the thrill of doing something forbidden, something that made me feel alive in a way my comfortable relationship with Sarah never did. Sarah was safety, routine, forever. Emma was chaos, excitement, right now. Leave her. Emma started saying, we could be good together. Really good. I'd shake my head, but my resolve was crumbling. Sarah seemed so innocent suddenly, so naive. She trusted me completely, never questioned where I'd been or why I was distant. Emma said that was weakness. A real woman would for her man. The night I finally bought the shoes, Emma and I had been seeing each other for 6 weeks. 6 weeks of lies, of sneaking around, of becoming someone I didn't recognize. I held that shoebox like it contained my salvation. Maybe if I gave Sarah these shoes, the guilt would go away. Maybe I could end things with Emma and go back to normal. Maybe I could fix what I'd broken without Sarah ever knowing it was broken. I practiced my speech in the car. How much I loved her. How she deserved beautiful things. How I'd been working so hard because she was worth it. Sarah was in the kitchen when I came home, humming while she made dinner. She turned around and smiled. That same smile that had made me fall in love 4 years ago. I have something for, I said, holding out the box. Her hands flew to her mouth when she saw the shoes. Those perfect, ridiculously expensive shoes that had cost me everything I didn't even know I was losing. Oh my God, she whispered. These are, I can't accept these. Yes, can, I said, desperate to see joy replace the worry on her face. Deserve them. Deserve everything. Sarah sat down heavily in the kitchen chair, still staring at the shoes. When she looked, her eyes were wet. I have something to tell too, she said. My turn to ice. I've been waiting for the right time but. She took a shaky breath. I met someone. The box fell from my hands. One perfect shoe tumbled across the linoleum floor. What? His name is David. Sarah was crying now, but her voice was steady. I didn't mean for it to happen, it just did. He listens to me, really listens. And he doesn't make me feel guilty for wanting things. I couldn't breathe then. Understand. I bought these I've been working so hard. I know. Her voice broke. That's part of the problem. I've been so distant, so focused on earning money for things I never asked for. I felt like I was losing Pao. Or not losing me. The words tasted like ash. I love too. She wiped her eyes. But love isn't enough anymore. David and we're moving in together next month. The kitchen tilted. Everything I'd sacrificed, every lie I'd told, every moment with Emma that had poisoned my soul, all of it for nothing. There's someone else, I whispered. Sarah nodded, fresh tears falling. I'm sorry. I should have told sooner, but I didn't know how. I've been so secretive lately, so cold. I thought maybe I'd already figured it out. I had been cold. I had been distant. While I was sneaking around with Emma, convincing Sarah didn't appreciate me, she was falling in love with someone who actually saw her. The shoes, I said stupidly. Keep them. Sarah said standing. Give them to someone who will wear them. She left that night, packed her things while I sat on the couch, staring at those $800 shoes that had cost me everything. I called Emma, desperate, destroyed. She left. I sobbed into the phone. Sarah left me. There was a pause. Then Emma's voice different now, colder. Oh. Well, that's too bad. Look, I should probably tell. I'm getting back together with my ex. This thing with us was fun. But. The line went dead. I spent the next week calling in sick. Living on takeout and self-hatred. Sarah's book club guy probably never made her work double shifts for overpriced accessories. He probably just loved her for who she was. The shoes are still in my closet. A monument to my stupidity, my selfishness, my complete inability to recognize what I had until I'd already destroyed it. I told I was working hard for Sarah. But really I was running away from her. Running toward something that felt more exciting than the real, beautiful, imperfect love she offered me every single day. Now I'm alone with my regret and a pair of designer shoes that will never be worn. 3 weeks after Sarah left, I was stalking her Instagram like a psychopath. David was everything I wasn't. Tall, clean-shaven, the kind of guy who probably owned an opener, and knew how to use it. His feed was full of hiking photos, book recommendations, and pictures of him volunteering at animal shelters. Of course he volunteered at animal shelters. Sarah looked happy in every photo. Not happy not trying, me, jealous happy. Actually, genuinely happy. The way she used to look at me before I ruined everything. I started commenting on her posts. Pathetic stuff like, look beautiful. And, I miss, under pictures of her morning coffee. She blocked me after the 5th comment. So I made it a count. I know how this sounds. I know how deranged and desperate this makes me look. But I couldn't stop. I needed to see what I was doing. To convince there was still a chance. The account lasted 2 days before she blocked that too. Sarah was always smarter than me. That's when I decided to show at her work. I waited in the parking garage of her office reading for 3 hours. Rehearsing what I'd say. How I'd explain everything. How I'd beg for another chance. I had the shoes with me, still in their box, like some kind of peace offering. Sarah came out with 2 coworkers, laughing at something on her phone. She looked radiant. Professional blazer hair, that confident stride I'd fallen for in college. For a second, seeing her happy made me happy too. Then she saw me. The laughter died on her face. Her coworkers looked confused, then concerned as Sarah's expression shifted to something between fear and disgust. What are doing here? She asked, keeping distance between us. I needed to see point. I held the shoebox like an. These belong to. I bought them for. I told to keep them. Sarah, please, just 5 minutes, let me explain. Her coworkers were whispering now. One of them had her phone out, probably ready to call security. Or the police. Explain what? Sarah's voice was getting louder. That been cyberstalking me. That made accounts to me. That now following me to work. Other people were staring. A small crowd was forming. I said desperately. I know I messed, but I love Ba. Don't love me. Sarah's voice cracked. People who love each other don't lie. They don't sneak around. They don't become strangers in their own relationships. I never cheated on. The lie came out automatically, even though we both knew it wasn't true. Sarah's face went white. Then red. Then something scarier than angry. Don't dare, she whispered. Don't dare stand here and lie to my face. My stomach dropped. What are talking about? Emma called me. Sarah's voice was steady now, deadly calm. 3 days after I left. She wanted to make sure I knew the whole truth. The parking garage started spinning. Emma had told her. Emma, who'd hung on me the moment Sarah was gone, had called my girlfriend to confess everything. She told me about the kissing, the texting, the 6 weeks of sneaking around behind my back, while I was planning our future. Sarah took a step closer, and I could see tears in her eyes. She told me we're going to leave me for her. That's not true. She showed me the texts. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. The texts. The flirty messages. The complaints about Sarah. The promises I'd made to Emma about ending things with my girlfriend. All of it preserved in black and white. Want to know why I fell for David? Sarah's voice was shaking now. Because while we're lying to my face every single day, he was honest. While we're treating me like an obligation, he treated me like a person. While we're plotting to leave me for someone else, he was falling in love with who I actually am. The security guard was walking toward us now. Sarah's coworker told him after all. Sarah, please wire. I gave 4 years, she said. 4 years of my love, my trust. And it away for what? A few weeks of excitement. Someone who dumped the second I was gone. She was right, Emma had discarded me like trash the moment Sarah left. I'd been so blind, so convinced that the grass was greener. The saddest part. Sarah wiped her eyes. I would have forgiven. If been honest, if confessed, if fought for us instead of fighting against us, I loved enough to work through it. Can still forgive me? I said desperately. No, Sarah shook her head. I can't. Because you're still lying. Even now, even caught, even with proof, are still trying to manipulate me. That's not love, huh? The security guard reached us. Ma'am, is everything alright? This man is harassing me. Sarah said clearly. I need him removed from the premises. Sir, I'm going to have to ask to leave. The guard said. I looked around at the crowd of strangers staring at me with disgust and pity. Sarah's coworkers were taking pictures. Someone would probably post this on social media. The crazy ex-boyfriend having a meltdown in a parking garage. Keep the shoes. Sarah said quietly. Maybe they're a reminder of what happens when take good people for granted. I left. What choice did I have? But the humiliation was just beginning. By that weekend, everyone knew. Sarah hadn't gossiped or spread rumors. She didn't need to. Emma had apparently told half our mutual friends about our affair, spinning it like she was the victim. Like I'd pursued her and lied about being single. My phone exploded with messages. Jake, who'd encouraged me to live a little, wanted nothing to do with me. Dude, what the is wrong with, he texted. Sarah was perfect. My sister called crying. She'd always loved Sarah, treated her like the sister she never had. How could do this to her? She sobbed. How could do this to us? She was going to be family. My parents were worse. Disappointed silence that somehow more than screaming. They'd been planning to ask Sarah to call them mom and dad. Now they couldn't even look at me. The worst part was running into Sarah and David at the grocery store 2 months later. I was buying frozen dinners, and the diet of a man who'd given on himself. They were together in the produce section. David making Sarah laugh while she picked out avocados. They looked like a real couple, comfortable and happy and whole. Sarah saw me first. Her smile faded, but she didn't look angry anymore. She looked sorry for me, pitying. That was somehow worse than hatred. Hello, David said politely when I approached face, genuine warmth in his eyes. Of course he did. Hi, I managed. How are doing? Sarah asked, and I could tell she actually wanted to know. Even after everything, she still cared about my well-being. That's the kind of person she was. I'm fine, I lied. David's hand was on Sarah's back, protective but not possessive. He wasn't worried about me. Why would he be? I was pathetic, broken daughter anyone. I'm glad, Sarah said, and I think she meant it. They left me standing there in the frozen foods aisle, holding my sad bachelor dinner, watching them walk away together. Sarah leaned into David as they walked, the easy intimacy of two people who trusted each other completely. I'd had that once. I'd thrown it away for nothing. That night, I opened a bottle of and stared at those shoes. $800, 2 months of double shifts. 6 weeks of lies and betrayal. 4 years of love destroyed. For what? Emma had used me to break my relationship, then disappeared the moment she got bored. I'd been a toy her, a game, a way to feel powerful. And I'd let her destroy everything real in me for the illusion of excitement. Sarah was planning it with someone who deserved her. Someone who saw her worth without having to lose her first. And I was alone with my choices, my regret, and a pair of shoes that would never fit anyone in my empty apartment. That tasted like failure, and tomorrow looked exactly the same as today. 1 year later, I got the wedding invitation. Sarah Elizabeth Morrison and David James Chen request the honor of presence. My hand shook holding that cream-colored cardstock. She'd kept my last name on social media for months after we broke, probably just forgetting to change it. But seeing her name paired with his, seeing the future I'd imagined for us, handed to someone who actually deserved it. That broke something in me that hadn't already been destroyed. I wasn't invited, obviously. The invitation came to my apartment by mistake, meant for the Sarah Morrison who used to live here. The postal service didn't know that Sarah Morrison had moved on. Moved into I'd forfeited through my own stupidity. I should have returned it to sender. Instead, I kept it on my kitchen counter for weeks, torturing with the details. October wedding. Outdoor ceremony. Reception at the Botanical Gardens where Sarah and I had our first official date 4 years ago. The shoes were still in my closet, gathering dust like a museum exhibit of my failures. Sometimes I'd take them out, and try to remember what I thought they'd accomplish. Had I really believed that $800 of leather and rhinestones could fix what was broken in me? That working double shifts was somehow equivalent to being a good partner. The truth was uglier and simpler. I'd bought those shoes to assuage my guilt about Emma. Every hour I worked, every dollar I saved, every sacrifice I made was really just me trying to balance the scales of my betrayal. Like I could purchase my way back to being a decent person. But can't buy integrity. Can't work overtime to earn back trust. Can't sacrifice way out of the hole dug with lies. 3 days before Sarah's wedding, Emma texted me. Saw the wedding announcement in the paper. Doing okay. I stared at that message for an hour. Emma who'd seduced me away from the best relationship of my. Emma who'd confessed everything to Sarah just to watch my world. Emma who'd thrown me away the instant I was no longer useful. Now she was checking on me. I typed and deleted a dozen responses. Angry ones, pathetic ones, indifferent ones. Finally settled on, why do care? Her reply came immediately, because I think about what happened sometimes. What we did was pretty mess pine. What do we did? Like she hadn't been the architect of my destruction. Like I hadn't chosen, again and again, to prioritize my ego over my girlfriend's heart. I made my choices. I texted back. Yeah, but I pushed toward them. I knew had a girlfriend. I knew loved her. I did it anyway because. I don't know, cause I was bored. Because I liked the drama. Pretty sick, right? I wanted to her. Wanted to blame her for everything. But the truth was more complicated and more damning. Emma had offered me a choice, and I'd taken it. She hadn't forced me to lie, to cheat, to throw away 4 years of love for 6 weeks of excitement. We were both adults, I replied. Were we though? I mean, I was acting like a child. And we're acting a man who didn't know what he had. That last part hit like a physical. She was right. I'd had Sarah's love, her trust, her plans for our future. I'd had friends who respected me. Family who were proud of me. That made sense. And I'd traded it all for the temporary thrill of being wanted by someone new. Do you ever think about what would have happened if we'd stayed together? Emma asked. I'd thought about it constantly those first few months. Tortured with fantasies where Emma and I were happy, where leaving Sarah had been worth it. But those fantasies always crumbled when I remembered how quit what actually meant to her. How little I'd actually meant to her. We wouldn't have lasted, I typed. Probably not. I don't think I'm capable of the kind of love Sarah gave. That wholehearted, unconditional build-together love. I'm too selfish for that. At least she was honest about it now. Too late, but honest. Why are texting me? I asked. Because I heard through mutual friends that'd been struggling. And because I feel guilty about my part in it. Struggling was an understatement. I'd lost 20 pounds, quit both jobs, moved into a studio apartment that smelled like mildew and broken dreams. My sister still barely spoke to me. My parents sent obligatory birthday cards with no personal messages. Most of my friends had chosen sides, and they hadn't chosen mine. I was existing, not living. Getting through each day without purpose or joy or hope that things would get better. I'm fine, I lied. No, or not, and neither am I, if that makes feel any better. It didn't. Emma's suffering couldn't undo Sarah's wedding, couldn't bring back my old, couldn't make me into someone worth loving again. I have to go. I typed. Wait, there's something else. Something I never told. My chest tightened. What could be worse than what I already knew? Sarah came to see me. About a month after 2 broke paw. The room started spinning. Sarah had gone to see Emma. Why? She wanted to understand. Why I did it. Whether there was something real between us or if it was just destruction for its own sake. What did tell her? The truth. That I was bored and cruel and wanted something that belonged to someone else. That I enjoyed breaking relationships because it made me feel powerful. And that we're lonely and confused and made terrible choices. But that never stopped loving her. I couldn't breathe. Sarah had needed to know why her world had exploded. And Emma had told her that I'd loved her even while I was betraying her. Somehow that made everything worse. She cried. Emma continued. Not angry crying. Sad crying. She said she'd wondered if she could have done something different. If she'd been a better girlfriend, more exciting, More something. She was perfect. I typed through tears. I told her that. I told her, and who didn't know what he had, that she deserved better than either of us.
She did.
Yeah, she did. We texted in silence for a few minutes, both of us probably thinking about the damage we'd done, the lives we'd derailed, the love we'd destroyed for no good reason. I should let go. Emma finally said. I just wanted to know that I think about it. About her. About what we took from her. She's getting married Saturday, I said. I know. I hope she's happy. Emma stopped texting after that. I sat in my dark apartment, holding my phone, thinking about Sarah visiting the woman who'd helped her. Trying to understand. Trying to make sense of senseless betrayal. That's who Sarah was. Even when she was angry. She tried to understand other people's pain. She'd probably forgiven Emma more easily than she'd forgiven me, because Emma had been honest about her motivations. I'd lied until the very end. Saturday came. I didn't go to the wedding, obviously. But I couldn't stop from driving past the botanical gardens that evening. Just as the reception was ending. Guests were streaming out, laughing and celebrating. Sarah emerged in a simple white dress that made her look radiant. Her new husband's arm around her waist. They were both glowing with happiness. Surrounded by people who loved them. I watched from my car as they climbed into a vintage car decorated with flowers. Probably heading to their honeymoon. Sarah looked back once at the gardens. Smiling at something David whispered in her ear. She didn't see me. Didn't know I was there. And that was probably for the best. They drove away toward their future. And I drove home to my empty apartment where those $800 shoes sat in the closet like a monument to my selfishness. I'd thought I was sacrificing for love when I worked those double shifts. But I'd really been running from love, creating distance, building resentment. I'd thought I was being spontaneous and alive when Emma. But I'd really been destroying the most beautiful thing in my. Now Sarah was married to a man who'd loved her honestly from the beginning. And I was alone with the consequences of choosing excitement over commitment, novelty over depth, selfishness over sacrifice. The shoes will never be worn. The money will never be recovered. The relationships will never be rebuilt. But worst of all, the love I away will never come back. I stayed away from my friends, expenses, and worked to buy her those shoes. But when I gave them with joy, she told me another man had already walked into her. And I realized too late that he'd walked into the space I'd created by walking away.